Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I'll be reviewing and paging through Death in Space from Free League Publishing. Is this system near perfect for rules light science fiction role playing of practically any genre? Or will you welcome the sweet, sweet release of, you know where I'm going with that, if you happen to pick up this tome? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, today I'll be reviewing and paging through Death in Space. I don't know why I always want to say it like that. I know, kind of like Pigs in Space from the Muppet Show, but I promise that'll be the only time I say it like that. The game is from CHWP, Cosmic Gaze, Stockholm Kartell, and Free League Publishing. It's written by Carl Niblos with artwork provided by Christian Plugfors. The 130-page hardcover is available now. It carries an MSRP of $39.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Don't forget, you can help support the Gaming Gang by utilizing our DriveThruRPG banner ads over at gaminggang.com, obviously enough. That said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Death in Space. So a few things to mention before we dive on in. First off, the fine folks over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's important that you know that. I'm also going to be staying picture-in-picture up here, so that means as we take a look through, I'll be cutting off the upper left portion of the book. We're not going to take a look at each and every page either, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you're going to find inside Death in Space. So let's take a look at the back here. Death in Space takes you to the grimy blue-collar future of a dying universe filled with risk and opportunity, where technology is broken and dirty and society is harsh and desperate. This book includes an introductory scenario and plenty of tables and tools to get you started immediately. Create unique characters marked by cosmic mutations and void corruption. Customize your crew's spacecraft or space station and salvage spare parts for repairs. Take risky jobs to survive in the lawless and war-torn tenebrous system. All right, let's jump on in. So we're going to start off with a price list for various different items. And then we're going to jump on into an introduction about the system. Further on in the book, we will get a bit more detail about the setting. It is kind of a skeleton of a setting. There isn't going to be like 30 pages of fluff and background about the setting, but that's one of the selling points for Death in Space. I know a lot of people out there are already curious, is this big in space? Or is this its own thing? And when I give you my final thoughts and the review score, I'll kind of sum that up for you as well. So essentially, this is a dying universe. It is a war-torn universe. There has been this big war that had been going on for like 100 years, and it was called the Gem War because there was a planet where these special gems could power starships, and they were like very, very important to the continued production of starships. Well, that war is over. Everybody pretty much lost. And now no one builds starships anymore. So all the spacecraft in the game is all recycled. It's all old. It's all used. It's all being held together by spit and elbow grease as well. So this has a pretty interesting background to the setting. And if you kind of go by what's in the book, you'll probably set your adventuring around the Iron Ring, which is kind of a space station that is built up from all these spare modules and discarded trash and things like that. And it actually rings this one world. It's kind of cool, actually. As far as the mechanics of the game, this is extremely rules light. So you're going to have 4 different attributes. You've got body, you've got dexterity, savvy, and tech. So in order to find out what your score is, you're going to roll a 4-sided die, and then you're going to roll another 4-sided die, and you're going to subtract the total of the second die from the total of the first die. So that's going to give you a range of anywhere from +3, which is fantastic, to -3, which is far less than fantastic. So this is kind of swingy as far as the attributes, but I thought that was kind of interesting as well. We'll point out there are no skills involved in this system, although if you wanted to incorporate that into the rules, you very easily could by possibly providing a +1 or at most a +2 modifier for your attributes, depending on the situation and the skill use. So one thing you're going to find is there are tons and tons of tables inside Death in Space. Very familiar for those of you who are fans of Mörkborg. I know, Morkborg, as many people refer to it. And that's one of the aspects I actually like about Death in Space. It's one of the things I actually like about Mörkborg as well. I know it's a turnoff for other people because there isn't a lot of how do you do these things? How do you actually run this game? There's some mention to it. There's a little bit of info dedicated to the game master, but as opposed to other books, other rule systems, once again, this is very, very light. So you're going to roll up your background, your trait, your drive, all random. Of course, if you want, you can pick them, get character details, past allegiances, and you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. You'll have your gear, and you'll have an idea of what sort of character you've got. So the actual mechanics of the game, the action resolution, boils down to rolling a 20-sided die and applying your attribute modifier that would come into play. So let's say you've got a body of -1 and you needed to do something strength related. You're going to roll your 20-sided die. You're going to subtract 1 from that total, and you need to get 12 or higher to succeed. Easy peasy. That is it. Of course, there is advantage and there is disadvantage. So if you have advantage, you're going to roll 2 D20s, take the best result. If you have disadvantage, you're going to do the same, rolling 2 D20s and take the worst result, the lesser of the 2 for you. So you get some starting gear. As I had mentioned, you have a starting kit, and you're going to jump on in and start creating either your spaceship or your portion of a space station that your characters call home. So it's kind of your base of operations. Once again, lots of tables here to create either the hub, the little section of the space station, or for your spaceship itself. So here we have the general rules, all boiled down to just a few pages. So those of you looking for min-maxing characters and having a ton of player character options when you're creating your alter egos, you're going to be a bit disappointed with Death in Space. then again, if you're kind of coming from the old school and you figure, well, you know what? My character is based on the adventures we have, not on the character sheet. Well, you're going to feel right at home here as well. Like, as an example, like encumbrance is based on number of item slots that you can carry. You're not sitting there calculating the actual weight and mass of various items and things like that. So another aspect of this setting is the void. So kind of along the lines of chaos in the Warhammer universe, we also have the void, and the void does corrupt. So you have that. We have mutations as well. And we have these void points that characters can use. And every time something goes wrong, every time they fail at an action resolution, they will actually gain a void point. And of course, it has to be failing at an action that's important. It can't just be, well, we're rolling dice, just roll dice, so hopefully I fail and get void points. Because you're not going to be, sitting there banking all these points together. There is a limit of how many you can have. But player characters can spend these points to either gain advantage on a roll. So, of course, they would spend that point before making a roll. Unlike many games with like fate points and things like that, you're not changing an actual roll. You're not re-rolling something. You're just gaining advantage by spending that point. Or if you have a cosmic mutation, you can activate that mutation. So, for an example, one of them is telekinesis. Well, you can't activate your telekinesis without spending a void point. As I mentioned before, everything's falling apart in this universe, so there are rules about condition degrading as well as repairs, space travel, just a couple of pages of rules here, and mainly just some random tables for you to roll against. Combat, very, very simple. Same premise as the action resolution. You're rolling your D20. You're going to be utilizing an appropriate attribute. And what you're doing, instead of trying to roll 12 or higher, you're actually trying to roll higher than the armor rating of your target. And of course, if you're unarmored, it's a 12. So you can increase that by wearing armor. Something that I thought was kind of interesting, there's risky attacks that you can make. So you can say, hey, I'm going to make a risky attack. If you succeed, you'll actually roll an additional damage die for your weapon. But if you fail, your opponent immediately gets to counterattack you. I thought that was kind of wild. We do have critical hits on a natural 20. On a natural 20, you're going to roll an additional damage die, just like that risky attack. Players are going to start off with their characters having 1d8 plus their body modification, which I mean a modifier. Is it +3 through -3? And those are going to be the number of hit points that you have. If you reach 0 hit points, you are dying. And of course, if you're not treated very quickly, that will be the end. We have rules for spacecraft, space battles. Very, very simple. We have distance bands as well. We have advancement. So you're going to be gaining experience points and just a handful. So give you an example. If you were to receive double-digit experience points after an adventure, then you've done extremely well. You can use those experience points to raise your attributes. So if you're sitting at a -3, you can, add 1, make it a -2. It's pretty easy. It doesn't cost a lot to get you into the 0 or +1. After that, it is pretty costly in experience points to say take a 1 to a 2 as far as your attributes. So then we're going to get a section. It's all about the tenebrous system, various different tenets of the system. The setting itself, like I said before, it is grimy. It is along the lines of one of the things I would kind of equate this to is if you're familiar with the old Sean Connery movie, Outland, it's got that kind of feel. Got that kind of feel where, everybody's out for themselves and things are kind of bleak. I would have to say that this is not as grim, dark a setting as Mirkburg at all. This, of course, once again, this is a dying universe, but it's not going to be dead tomorrow. It is contracting, but it's not going to come to an end sometime later on in the week. We do get a breakdown of the Ring. So the Ring is this space station that's essentially built around this planet, and it's made up of all these different sections of spacecraft and cargo containers, and very, very unique setting there. I thought was pretty cool. We are going to get a lot of different tables as far as the game master to create obstacles, NPCs, your big bads that you can utilize, different jobs that the player characters can take on. All of that's in here as well. And there is a very short adventure which kind of drives home the sort of bleak setting for Death in Space. As I'll say it again, loads and loads of tables and just a lot of randomness, a lot of cool ideas in here. And there are a lot of things in Death in Space that I could easily see people cribbing for other science fiction systems that they might play. Also should mention the artwork, I think, is really, really well done. I wasn't a big fan of the death metal artwork for Mirkburg. That is not the case here. Very, very cool line art throughout. All right, then we're going to finish up. We get a cheat sheet. This is almost like a Game Master's screen on the back cover here as well. That kind of covers everything you need to know about the rule system to get it up and running. In essence, that is Death in Space. Let's swing on over to the other camera because I'm going to provide my final thoughts as well as a review score. So first thing, right out the gate, I like Death in Space more than I liked Mirkburg. And I thought that was good. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked it, but I wasn't blown away by it. And to be very honest, the setting just doesn't do it for me. And I know there are a lot of people out there who just love that kind of grim, dark, oh, it's the end, Shadow of the Demon Lord, things like that. I can't get into that. It's maybe I'm just too much of an optimist, I guess, or that doesn't appeal to me. Maybe it's because I'm older. Yeah, I know. I'm, like I said, once again, I'm probably a little bit more of an optimist than some folks out there who like role-playing games like Mirkburg. Death in Space is not a downer. Granted, it's the setting itself is one of dystopia. It's, once again, the universe is collapsing. It's a very uncaring universe, which, got to point out, a lot of science fiction role-playing games kind of play on that, right? No one hears you scream in space. So, all in all, do want to point out, I do like it more than I liked Mirkburg. As far as the game system itself, super easy. Really, really simple. And I could easily see people picking up and playing this like that. 10 minutes, your players are going to understand what they need to do as far as action resolution and combat. Now, that being said about the rules being very rules light, I don't really think that this is a good role-playing game for somebody who's just coming into the hobby. This is your first RPG rodeo. I don't think that this is going to be right for you. Once you get some gaming under your, under your hat, under your belt, you've done some game mastering, then by all means, I think this is going to work because it's got a lot of just random tables, which if you're used to running games on the fly, you are going to love. But when you're brand new to this hobby, you don't have those chops yet. So that's why I'm saying, although I do like this and the rule system is very light, it is not something that I think is geared towards newcomers to role-playing games. I like the fact that there's tons and tons in Death in Space that you can steal and utilize in other role-playing games. And I've said it time and time again, if you're a viewer of the Gaming Gang channel, you know I always talk about game masters who are worth their salt, crib things from other systems to bring to their games. And even if you weren't using Death in Space as your core game system, there is plenty of inspiration and a lot of the random tables that you could easily utilize if you're going for a kind of grim and gritty science fiction setting, such as Alien or The Expanse. And yes, I know they both have their own role-playing games, but I could easily see utilizing Death in Space for a game in a setting of that nature. All in all, I like Death in Space. I can't say that it would be my go-to science fiction role-playing game. I think that's still reserved for Traveler, but I can see this being a very welcome addition to many gamers' collections out there. So in the end, I give Death in Space a nice recommendation. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it is that good. And once again, even if you don't use the system itself, plenty of inspiration for you to utilize in your other science fiction role-playing games. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when I upload reviews and other videos, such as this one, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you don't find on the Gaming Gang YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you so much for taking time out to watch this video. And here's hoping each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.